What do you feel like have been the biggest areas with your own game that you have wanted to improve and build on in your time from when you left SC to started here at Pitt?
Yeah, I think you see the game growing and quarterback position evolving. A lot of the off-platform throws, and even that stuff. It doesn't mean you have to scramble around a lot. It might be a small movement. It might be a subtle, quick, slide and throw. It might be one step that honestly the general person might not notice as much. I think for me that could be huge for the game. It has been, and I kind of just want to improve on that. Especially I separated my shoulder 2 years ago, so I think a lot of that biomechanics stuff has changed for me since I've tried to adjust to that injury. And so I think changing that as well, goes with the off-platform stuff. So I think for me, just getting more and more comfortable with that. And it got to a point now where I'm doing it every day, and I don't need to get coached on it. It's been pretty nice. Yeah, thank you. Nice meeting you.
How's it been reading Nick Patty? That's how you win my heart like that. It's different. You don't see it a lot.
Yeah, Nick's been awesome, man. I think when I committed, he sent me a text even before I did because Coach told him. He sent me a text right away. I met him the first day I was in the building. He's been awesome, and he's an awesome guy to be around in the room, to be around every day. Really, all those guys in the room make it fun. People have possession. Obviously, the quarterback position, only one guy plays, and I've been in other situations where it's definitely been offered, but that's not really the situation here, especially going through competition. All the guys have been awesome.
How have you seen him push your game, and how have you helped push his game?
We really just collaborate, I think, a lot. It's a new offense for both of us, for all the guys in the room. So when something comes up, we're putting in something none of us have run. It's nice to kind of talk it through with other guys, and especially, there's a lot of conversations you have with coaches, but, in between, there's a lot of downtime. So I think a lot of that stuff kind of allows you to talk to, the other guy and say, hey, man, what do you think about this? What did you see here when I ran this? And, you find more times than not, you're kind of seeing it the same way more times.
How well have you gotten to know kind of the new receivers in this group? And have you gotten a lot of time to build any chemistry or any kind of relationships with them yet?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time this summer. There's obviously the mandatory work that you have to put in, but I think beyond that, we talked about, I think the LSU crew, when Joe Burrow was there, they talked about 10,000 throws. So that was kind of our goal going into summer, let's get as many throws as we can. So we spent a lot of time together this summer, and then the voluntary, throwing sessions, and they've been great. And it kind of allows you to get to know them a bit more, and beyond that, you come out today and you feel like you're in sync with those guys, your timing's down, so you've thrown every route so many times, so it's been really great. Those guys worked really hard.
How close did you get to those 10,000 throws?
We didn't count. I think we got past it, honestly. We kind of figured out, hey, if we throw 100 balls every day, if we throw 4 or 5 times a week, we're going to hit that number at some point. And we didn't. There was never a time or day where we missed it, even if it was going out and running the back half of the route, because you want to protect those guys' legs and stuff. But we definitely hit it. I'm not sure what the exact number is, but we definitely hit it, yeah.
Pat talked about how he wants one of you and Nick to sort of establish yourselves as the dude. The Steelers are going through a similar thing. I was up there the other day talking to those guys, and they're like, we're trying not to count who's practicing who, who's getting what reps. But are you mentally keeping track of how you're doing and how he's doing? Is there a running, or do you have to sort of block it out?
Yeah, I think it's best to kind of just focus on what you're doing. Sorry, if it's to some extent, you can definitely get caught up. I've been in other quarterback competitions. You can get caught up in what other guys are doing. And I think if you look too much into that, it kind of changes your own game too much. It's great to learn from other guys and see what they're doing. But at the end of the day, for me, I think it's always best. It might be different for other people too. But for me personally, I always kind of view it as hey man, there's you're in a competition, you gotta be great. But at the end of the day, just do what you do best, and he's gonna do what he does best. The coach is gonna evaluate it. You can't change your game or do anything different based on the other guy. It might push you to be more of a leader or establish yourself with the guys more. But when it comes on the play, you need to on the field, you need to do what you do best.
Whoever it is, they're following a guy who just had an incredible year. Is that the offense is going to look different than the coordinator? Is there any pressure in sort of knowing that, oh my God, the last year that dude threw for 40 some touchdowns? Does that play a factor in?
Yeah, I think I like to do it as a standard almost. The guys in the building, the other receivers, the other players, they know what it looks like to be an elite quarterback at this level. So for me, I kind of view it as they know what it looks like. I'd love to live up to that standard. I'd love to push that standard as far as it can go because I want to be a great quarterback, at that elite level. So again, I think that's kind of the mindset I have. You can see it's pressure, but again, it can be a good pressure. It doesn't have to be a bad thing that, there's a great player here before.
You're obviously coming into a new offense with a new offensive coordinator. How similar or different is this from what you ran at USC? And how comfortable have you gotten in Frank's offense so far?
Yeah, he's awesome. The offense is great. There's always, it's a lot different. The thought process, the mentality, the whole philosophy. But at the same time, football's football, and it's still the same game that I've played my whole life. And Coach Sig's done a great job of making that come easy, and it's super quarterback friendly. Every throw you make, you feel like it's an easy one. So I love it. It's been a joy to learn, and you turn on the tape of what he's done with it, and what most of the NFL, if not all the NFL, is running some variation of this West Coast scheme. So it's really cool to kind of like, hey coach, I had a question on this play, and he goes, all right, let's watch Aaron Rodgers run it. Let's watch the Niners run it. Let's watch Sean McVay run it. So it's been a pleasure and a blessing to really be part of that.
Keith, when it comes to the offense, there's a lot of things that are going to be new this year. One thing that's staying the same is the offensive line. What's it like running with an offensive line that's locked together for a whole season, and what an ACC championship doing?
Yeah, that's a huge part of why I came here, honestly. Watching the film, those guys do a great job up front, and they're a close group. They've worked together for some time now, and you can feel it. There's no uncertainty when you go to the line. Everyone knows what they're doing. They're all on the same page. So, as a quarterback, we can talk about all the flashy guys. They're great. All the receivers are awesome, but you win games up front. And when you have the group of guys that we have, I think we can do a lot of, put up a lot of points and have a lot of success. But again, it starts with those guys, and they've done a great job.
Keaton, I remember when you committed to Pitt, you had the Players Tribune article in that, as one of the reasons why you came to the league, having the Blitnikoff and having now Jordan leaving. How much of a bummer was that? Disappointment was that when he decided to leave? And how did you, as quarterback, as one of the leaders on the team, in a full position, kind of take charge and say, hey, we're going to be good and all right?
Yeah, obviously, everyone needs to do what's best for them. It hurts when you lose, one of your better players, but I remember calling all the guys when all the uncertainty was happening, and especially the receivers, and being like, hey guys, I'm not here just for one player. This is a great elite group as a whole, and that's the thing that, kind of attracted me to Pitt. It wasn't like it was a one-man show. I looked at the room collectively and said, all right, who's in this room and who's here? And it's a deep room, and there's guys who haven't played, the public hasn't seen play yet that are very talented. You got a guy like Monkfield who has played Akron, who's a freshman All-American, who's a stud. No one really talking about. You've got Jaden Bradley, who's a stud. No one's really talking about. They're all studs. But those are guys that you don't see every day, and they're doing an amazing job. So I remember I kind of called everyone. I was like, hey man, I don't know what's gonna happen, but we're gonna be good regardless of what happens. And I had a tweet, culture wins. I think it got misconstrued a little bit as a slight, but it wasn't. It was more so as saying that, regardless of who's here, regardless of who's in the building, what talent we have, the culture is what wins the games. And we have a great culture here. We have great players, and we're going to be just fine because of that.
Keith, what kind of relationship do you have with JT Daniels, and how much are you looking forward to competing against him?
We don't talk a whole lot, but he's always cool with me at SC. It's a pleasure watching him, and we spent probably a full year together at SC. So we don't talk a whole lot. We threw a few times back in California with the same coach. He's a nice guy, great dude. I don't talk to him a ton, but I'm looking forward to competing against him. I'm also looking forward to competing against Graham. I've been able to foster a relationship with him for the past few years. So he'll always call me when he's driving up to the airport, because they drive out of the same airport too. And he's like, hey man. And it's kind of been fun to kind of think about, man, we played each other first week of the game, first week of the year, because we didn't even think about where we ended up, that it was going to happen like that. So I'm looking forward to competing against both of them. Even there's a GA over there who's my GA at SC, so really all of them, I'm looking forward to competing against them, and it should be fun.
Are the defensive guys here picking your brain about USC's offense?
Oh yeah, they ask me lots of questions. And they do a great job anyway. So I think they kind of gather most of it off of film and kind of ask me to verify what's going on. But they definitely pick my brain.
How tough is it to be a transfer athlete? Yeah, after you spent all 3 years at another school.
Yeah, it's tough, man. everyone here has been great and super welcoming. But just going through that process and putting your name in the portal, I remember thinking like no one really wants to transfer more times than not. You know, you have your friends established, you have your routine established, you have your house, you know, you have everything kind of built around this place, and then you don't want to leave it for something that's kind of uncertain. So I think going through that process was tougher than actually being here. Once I got here, man, I was so excited to be a part of it and so glad that I did it. Now I'm so happy that I did it. I got to experience all this stuff, learn so much more, learn from a guy like Coach Sig. But yeah, it's really hard going through it, and that's why we have a few other transfers on the team. You know, we want to make it, and they do a great job here already. But you know, from my perspective now, like I want to make those guys feel as welcome as possible.
You guys have a little fraternity then.
Yeah, definitely.
Shane Simon, those other guys.
100%. Yeah, they
same kind of situation.
exactly. Yeah, you know, it's nice to kind of have that collective feeling. Again, we were really good guys too, so that
When you go back to spring camp, I guess reflecting on that, how do you feel like that all went, and how did the summer go in terms of being able to work, say, a couple hours, a few hours a week, and learning more the offense and getting used to it?
Yeah, you know, the spring, everyone's coming fresh, learning new offense, and it definitely took a while felt like it took a while to kind of get the guys feeling really comfortable and playing seamlessly within it. And that was a huge emphasis for us in the summer, like, hey, we have to keep building this thing. We can't just start from where we left in the spring. So I think the summer part for us was a huge growth aspect, like, for our offense, especially for the skill positions. I think up front, like, a lot of stuff's pretty similar, but still, guys, their whole thought process, everything has changed a little bit, and it's for the better. It's what they're doing in the NFL. But the summer was huge. We talked to Sig last night about it, and I was like, man, he was like, how do you feel about everything? I was like, we're wavelengths further from where we were in the spring, and I thought today looked really sharp because of what the work we've done this summer.
Timing is such a big part of every offense, especially when throwing receivers. Is there any one person or two players that you feel like, hey, I know when he runs this route, I can hit him at these points? Are there guys who you've established that kind of connection with already?
Yeah, really the main core guys. We spent a lot of time this summer. I mentioned earlier we wanted to get to like 10,000 passes was the goal, and that was kind of the idea was, hey, I think LSU, Joe Burrow, that was their number they talked about. We're like, we want to be like that. And when you get that many amount of repetitions, you hit every route, you hit every, possible scenario, every different coverage. So we were out there throwing 5 times a week probably at some point. And, sometimes they're doing back half the routes because you want to kill their legs. But those guys are super competitive. They want to go all the time. And they're texting me all the time, hey, man, can we get outside today? And I was like, shoot, this is day 6. I might have to take a day off. But those guys are awesome. That kind of fosters that connection. So, we were out there today and throwing routes I didn't feel comfortable with in the spring, like anticipating them. And they know it too. They know where to expect it. It's been a lot of fun.
You guys